IVM.
All right then. Hello.
Hi, Sunetro.
Hi, Farhad.
How you doing?
I don't know why I do this. Hi, Farhad. Every single time.
Tumhari Sulu.
All right. So how's it going?
It's going. I'm having a mixed bag week.
Amidst the rains?
Definitely. I have something which I feel I hate when millennials use it, but I also have it.
What?
So I feel like mine is authentic, but other people should. Which is seasonal affective disorder. Have you heard of it?
No. Is it like monsoon melancholy?
Yeah, but like for different people, it could be different things. So some people, summer can be extremely depressing. Monsoons can be extremely...
I am overjoyed during the monsoons. Like I see a cloudy day and I'm like, yay, bitch.
You see a cloud. I love it, but that lasts for like 5-10 minutes. The whole gloominess and all, it's like dark curtains, right? I love when my room has dark curtains, but after 1 week, it's like, oh my God, I hate dark curtains. It's like that, metaphorically and actually, I feel like that.
Okay.
So that's been happening, a little bit of monsoons. It was my mother's birthday, which is a very tricky time in my life.
So did you go meet her?
No, I did not. I spoke to her on the phone though. I got mild Bagban type emotional blackmail, which is आजकल के बच्चे तो असह्य है. But something amazing also happened this week. A friend who I had a falling out with, a bad falling out with, a very dear friend, like 3-4 years ago, we actually happened to be in the same room after a couple of years, and we just, I won't say made up, but it was like
you tolerated each other.
Not even tolerated. We
just
literally
acknowledged each other.
It all like fixed itself in one night of hanging out. Like,
I think that's adulting, right?
Yeah, but like there was this point where I was angry with him for like a couple of years. He was angry with me for a couple of years. We made efforts.
Do you even remember why you were angry though? Like, because it happens with me, I forget. So
No, we had a huge fallout. It was a bad acid trip.
Okay then.
Yeah, we had done a lot of acid and a lot of other things. Acid I think is okay to say, but other things I can't say, so I won't say it. But it was one of those nights that everybody was like high energy, frenetic a little. And in the morning, we had a huge fallout. And then after we attempted a couple of times because we have a lot of mutual friends. But it was just something once, it broke.
Yeah.
But I was amazed at how much it fixed in that night. Like I instantly realized this is why he was my friend. He realized that. We were like right back to where we left off in a way.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, that was the best thing. It literally was an amazing feeling this week, like for that to happen.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, there's a little bit of joy in the monsoon for every one of us.
What's yours?
Well, so I wait for this time of the year every year for a reason.
Which is the monsoon?
Not really monsoon, but this time of the year, for example, just around like July onwards, because it officially award season begins.
Okay.
Because Emmy nominations are announced and
Vaisa.
Yeah.
Work-wise.
No, please.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about work.
Golden
please.
Globes.
Yeah. So like Golden Globes and all that, obviously, that's the award nominations towards the end of the year. But first is award season for television starts now, and then of course the Oscar season movies begin to roll out. So now the trailers have started coming out. So it's like a joy to and I'm like in my head the world's best Oscar prognosticator. So like I have
you still do that whole waking up at 6?
Oh my God, 6? Are you kidding me? I wake up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
Because I have to watch the red carpet and then some. So please, I have been following that since 1998.
See, I'll tell you what, I used to do that when I was a kid too. But now in the age of Instagram, I follow like 5,000 gay boys, and suddenly it's that one day where everybody's a fashion designer. Everybody's like, this is my favorite look. What the hell is Glenn Close wearing? I'm like, yaar, tu pura saal matlab cheetah chaddi pehna and you're like fucking one day.
Exactly. Like I can spout names of designers and the celebrity as per year.
Yeah.
Like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So since that has started, I I'm overjoyed, and I know the rest of the year is going to be amazing. So Oscar season.
I wish I derived joy out of
Yeah.
these kind of things.
So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it, and like Emmy nominations are out, and all my best shows got like nominated.
This
so,
really got me. So when I was a kid,
Yeah.
do you remember the movie Fly?
Yeah, like
Jeff Goldblum.
Like Jeff Cronenberg.
No, Jeff Goldblum.
I know, as in David Cronenberg.
I'm not sure.
Director.
Okay, was he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, like
well, you are the Oscar guy, you know.
Yeah, like he turns into this hideous,
he turns into a fly.
Yeah.
So basically, Fly had happened and Fly 2 had happened.
Yeah.
And I had not seen either of the movies and I wasn't allowed to watch it because it was a very horror, for kids,
quite
horror
gross.
movie. So I wasn't allowed. And I remember it was Holy Day. Okay, it was and so basically it was actually a holy day, and so basically holy. Anyways, I used to wake up very early in the morning to fill up water balloons and balti bhar ke fugga pani ka this.
What's a fugga?
Balloon.
Oh,
is that not a common thing?
Okay. I'm East Indian. I say a lot of things I don't understand.
Okay, maybe it's like kanda,
like
pyaz,
yeah,
type thing.
I learned what would you guys call watermelon?
Kharboos, tarboos.
No, I call it tarboos. Yahan pe it's called something else. Kalingar. Yeah, Kalingar. Yeah. I don't get. I'm still learning. Yeah.
So what had happened was that day, obviously, because it was holy, my mom would allow me to wake up early and do the balloon thing. But what she did not know was we used to get those guides, your TV guides for the month.
Yeah.
So Star Movies is going to play this HBO. And I was so happy that on the day holy, morning 4:45 was Fly 1 and at around 6 Fly 2 back to back. They were going to play in the morning. So I thought, wow, मैं तो बाल्टी लेके बैठा and while watching Fly, I'm like fugga, balloons in the morning. And why did I say? That's the last time I remember being very excited waking up for something in the morning.
But
and like
Oscars are a gay thing. You know, it's...
Well, Fly is definitely not a gay thing.
Definitely
sure.
not.
Although it was also one of the... Because there's one scene where he starts getting these abilities because he's a fly. Like he can do crazy amount of pull-ups and all. I do remember being a little like, sweaty torso, what's that? Like
and it's Jeff Goldblum.
Please. I know,
Like,
who I find way sexier now. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Back then I did not... But
now he's just like something
I guess
else.
as an adult I enjoy humor. I find humor sexy. As a kid, you don't care if someone's funny or wise and all. You just appearance. But now I get him. He's so funny that I kind of find him sexy. Yeah.
So, I mean, Oscars play I think it played a very, very significant role in like turning me gay. I think no one turned me gay, but like
America.
enforcing my gayness, so to say. Should we talk about that? Like things that, like our obsessions from childhood that were super gay. Yeah. Like let's talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. That would be a great topic, but I don't think there was any one thing that made me feel like maybe I'm gay because
not that way.
Sure.
In terms of just our interests, which was
what
so
we did, what we played,
unstereotypical.
Got it.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sure. Where do we begin? It all began when I sucked dick for the first time, which was at 8. So I don't know what to say.
Okay, on that note, we'll take a short break and then we'll be back. We'll be talking about all the things that we did which were not so straight, all our hobbies. So yeah,
let's
see you.
do that.
Be right back.
Let's do that.
This is the amazing story of something awesome. Once, Chuck decided to start a podcast. And so he did. The end. Okay, that was a crappy story. But I've got some really cool stories over at my new show, The Origin of Things. On this podcast, I look at the stories of how brands came into being and sometimes evolved out of quite unexpected circumstances. And to make it really fun, I reveal the name of the brand and sometimes a category only at the very end. The show is 5 to 7 minutes per episode and perfect for trivia junkies and brand nerds, especially those with short attention spans. New episodes out every Wednesday on IVM Podcasts app or website or any podcast app or site that you happen to prefer. End of story, they lived happily ever after.
All right, guys. So we're back, and what we're talking about today is all those things, all the various things that we did as kids, which were hobbies, passions that were not so straight.
Yeah.
I sure have a lot of
I don't
those.
even know where to begin.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you start?
Oh, that's what I don't know where to begin.
Okay, then
why don't you go?
Yeah.
Because because there's too much then.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
So actually mine reads as a guidebook of any gay boy's sort of how to be a gay boy.
Okay, mine would not be that, but
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So one of the first things was reading Femina. So my mom was so she had a subscription of Femina, and that was my it was a I think a monthly magazine. Yeah, it was my monthly dose of Indian fashion.
Sure.
And for a fashion for a magazine which was like which is considered like a Saheli today. Man, it was edgy because I remember there was this one shoot and I liked it for reasons that I questioned myself on. So there was Madhu Sapre, Aishwarya Rai, and two other models who were all backless, wearing denims.
Oof.
And
burned a memory.
And it was a very casual, not seductive, very easy lean on a wall, and all their backs were towards the camera and they all were turned around.
Sure.
I'm sure like this must be doing the rounds of the internet, and it was a beautiful, lovely photo.
Yeah.
And I found it so enticing in an aesthetic sense.
Okay.
And from there on, I remember being so interested in the whole concept of a fashion photo shoot at the age of, I don't know, 7. Like every month I would look forward to that center spread.
Sure.
And I would look at who the designer is and who this model is. And so that was literally my first and obviously name one other boy in Ranchi in like 1994 or 93 who was reading a Femina.
I'm sure that
I'm sure, but
Ranchi.
like no one else. Like I would go and tell my friends, and they would find the stories very interesting when I would talk about it.
Okay.
But they would be like, "Oh, what?
Okay.
What are you saying?" So yeah, that was like
It's so funny you say this because as usual, I find myself again on a parallel line where our lives are similar. My dad was in a bank. He's bank retirement age is 65. But my dad at 45 one day comes home and he's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I want to own a library. He for some odd reason, he wanted his own library. And so basically in my house, okay, he started running it from home first before he actually got a physical library space. In my house, every magazine you can name, and I'm talking like Crime and Detective, if you know Crime and Detective, to like Femina, to Cosmopolitan, to like international magazines. We used to get them at home.
Dude,
but I never felt any of this. In fact, I now that I think in retrospect, my favorite thing in these magazines, back then you used to get perfume samples. I would like store those for days. Like I would just keep rubbing it on myself. So now in retrospect, I feel like that was a dainty. But I never thought of it as oh my God, I'm into. In fact, I remember I was very into all the cleavage and this. Because, like international magazines, there was a little boob also sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's I remember. Okay, but I'll tell you what was this? My dad also used to get letters to Penthouse. Do you know letters to Penthouse?
Of course,
yeah. So those are erotic stories basically for people who don't know. And letters to Penthouse 1, 2, 3, 4. There were like series of that. And I used to read those, and there used to be sections in Letters to Penthouse, which was boy meets girl. And then there was a section called Somebody's Watching, which was all erotic stories related to someone watching someone else have sex.
Was there any queer stuff there?
After I think 4 or 5 boy meets boy started. And when I started reading those, I remember that was when I was like those are the ones I wanted to like touch myself to. So in that sense, that was my not so conventional reading gay awakening.
And you watch and like this is the reading
by
part.
The time they reached
watched?
Letters to Penthouse 10, they had an amputee section.
Oh jeez. Good lord. But yeah, I mean, imagine being body positive at that point of time.
Sure.
We'll say that. Well, what else for me? Oh yeah, my massive obsession with Oscars, like I was saying.
Okay.
It started out when I was, I think, 12 or 13. I started getting obsessed about Oscars the year Titanic was a big thing. Because, I mean, everyone had to... Yeah, so 1997, I remember... in Ranchi, there was no Titanic. So I remember...
You make Ranchi sound like Gabbar Singh.
Let me tell you the reality.
Like one Femina subscription.
I'm telling you, I watched Titanic in Ranchi in 1999.
Okay. Oh.
In Hindi.
Wait, it released in 95, just saying.
96.
Okay.
96. It came to Ranchi in 99.
Oh my God.
Just saying.
Oh my God, that's
sad. My childhood.
Yeah.
But like, nevertheless.
Yeah.
I was in Calcutta visiting my grandparents over a summer vacation, and I had watched Titanic, and then I was visiting them for the consequent, March holidays, and that's when Oscars happened.
Sure.
So it was like I watched a film, and I'm seeing it win.
Ooh.
And I remember so clearly Helen Hunt in this beautiful blue satin gown. Which was so modern and not 90s at all. Like anyone would die to wear it today. And guys, if anyone's watching it, just Google it. Like really.
I'm sure so many people are like, who was Helen Hunt?
Mad about you. Oh my God. We should do an episode on that. Like anyway. So I remember her walking on stage to win the Oscar, and I wanted Kate Winslet to win because like I hadn't watched any of the other films. But I watched that, and for me, that moment was so iconic that this woman dressed so beautifully is holding this Oscar. That cemented in my head as something of a tradition.
Okay.
And the whole idea of it started out with the dresses. Then it became all about in the consequent years, all about the montage sections for the costume design award.
Okay.
So the five nominees, whenever they were announced, they would always had behind the scenes and sketches of the costume department. All of that unspooling in terms of sketches and animation. Similarly, the art direction that would happen. And I was so wrapped in, and that's where my love for cinema began.
Okay.
While the whole world, my entire town was learning how to play cricket. And that's where I said, I'm not going to do that. I'll just learn how to be fancy now. Learn film and my obsession with film, my obsession with fashion. That was the beginning of it. And that's when I knew I'm going to be very different from everyone here. Not good different, not bad different, but just different.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people will. Maybe it's not Oscars, but like... there'll be so many people who'll identify with this, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was my...
for me, see, again, right? I never let these things, not voluntarily, but I never felt like these are markers that influenced me. I used to watch the Oscars too when I was a kid. But I also felt like I was the cricket child. I was the football. I was there, you know. My favorite section in the Oscars was in memoriam. Arey, ye bhi mar gaya. Arey, ye bhi mar gayi. I still love, I don't know, till date, I just like, sometimes now I don't watch the Oscars anymore. I just YouTube the in memoriam section. Because sometimes, you know, oh, this guy, he was in that movie, he's dead, fuck. I love feeling that. Then I Google how they died.
Oh my God,
But I'll tell you what I used to do. And I feel like that was a sign maybe now, talking to you in 2019 about them, is I used to play out characters. So I'll give you an example. Sholay. This is a very weird story, but I had seen Sholay pretty late in life, but by pretty late, I mean, I must be around 11 or 12. I remember I had a Donald Duck underwear. And the thing is, there were these little days where I used to be left alone at home. Like nobody was at home. And I used to act out these elaborate scenes. So I'm the hero, I'm the heroine, I'm the this. And I always remember playing the damsel in distress. Even though I'm playing the hero and all, but I remember the main flair and all used to come out. And I'll tell you a very funny story. I was acting out Sholay on my kitchen counter. I thought nobody's at home. It's me. So I was in my Donald Duck underwear, no shirt, nothing, just like a kid with a knife. I had a knife in my hand because I also had to play Dharmendra, but I was also Hema Malini, so my arms are up And I'm doing the scene, and suddenly I look, and my brother's just standing there looking at me like a 12-year-old with a knife in his hand, in his underwear, on the kitchen ota, like climbed on top. So I feel like that's a little gay. I think I was a little gay of me. Like, I was like, no, chhod do mujhe at times, but like,
I don't even care what you were going through. I want to be
I wish you could have seen
in his head.
I wish you could have seen. I can right now. Sometimes you eat a heavy lunch and then raat ko daka raha hai, you can still taste your lunch. After all these years, I still remember my brother's face. He was so confused by what was happening. Like, put the knife down, or like, why are you in your underwear? He was so confused by all of this.
So this brings me to my, like, kind of similar. My next thing, which I developed a love for in terms of a passion or a hobby, which I really, no one in my like close circle of friends was encouraged to do. And that was at the primary level of a bond with food, cooking, but always with a twist.
Okay.
So I still love skating. I used to skate a lot.
The only boy in Ranchi who skated.
Yes. You believe me.
God.
I didn't have a single friend who would come skating with me because I remember there was one rink.
Okay.
Which was basically an abandoned, like, circular area.
Yeah, if Ranchi had a rink in
it
like
wasn't a
1995.
rink, that's what. So,
okay.
it was an abandoned
ground.
ground. So where I used to go and then no one would I was a very lonely child, okay, guys. So anyway. So
then you ate food.
Fuck you.
To fill that void.
No, so it was more cooking than eating.
Okay.
So because I had working parents, I had to entertain myself. I had no idea about what sex was, so I didn't know how to entertain myself. So,
wish I could say the same.
So, hey, it was Ranchi. No one taught me. All right, I taught myself later. But what I used to do was imagine this cooking show with me on roller skates.
Okay.
And I remember there was this one day when I was in my underwear and a cape.
Okay.
Cape.
Okay.
Like a Superman cape. And one of those night masks. And I had cut the eyes out because I wanted to be like a superhero who makes superfood. And this is an 11-year-old. And my mom came home and she was just like flabbergasted. Ye kya ho raha hai? And I was cooking noodles at home like this. No. As in noodles, not Maggie.
Okay.
Hey, please. Maggie was when I was like 2 years old. Please. So I was making like noodles and like Chinese noodles and yeah, like that whole thing of I want to cook with flair and that came.
I know what you mean.
And so while other people, a lot of my friends who like cooking, when they were learning how to cook, I had graduated to I want to try new knives.
Okay.
So like cooking again was something like a vocation that I started getting so involved in because.
But my question to you is, our conversation is about. Are these any kind of markers to indicate that we might have been gay then?
So I don't
because
know about
what you're
gay.
saying,
I don't know about
exactly
gay.
did the same thing. You said cooking. I've been cooking since forever. But I get the flair bit. Like, sometimes my dad would come, my parents had separated for the third time.
Yeah.
And I somehow was like, I'll cook, So back then, my dad would come home thinking I've made food, but I would make some Monaco biscuit ready-made mayonnaise and shredded chicken, little bites.
Like
my dad's like, fuck, I'm still
you
know what I mean? So I get that bit. That's a
so
little
that everything,
baggy.
like everything to do with like a little like la-di-da. I remember, like you didn't get chopsticks in Ranchi, of course. So I remember there were, I don't know what it was. There were these 2 sticks I had gotten free with something and I fashioned chopsticks out of it. There was no new YouTube to learn how to eat noodles with chopsticks. No, you know how I learned how to eat with chopsticks? I watched Dil To Pagal Hai 7 times because there is a scene where Karishma Kapoor has noodles with chopsticks just to learn how to eat chopsticks, how to eat with chopsticks. So that's what this whole idea of I want to be this refined man, I think was like a pretty strong marker that ye ladka to matlab is taraf jane wala hai, like, yeah.
It's so funny you say that because all these things, again, see, a lot of times when we have our conversations, I feel like it's only while having the conversation that I realize, oh, maybe that's why I did that. But I specifically remember I used to take pride in the fact that I play football, I play cricket, and with that bravado, I used to play because in some way I feel now in retrospect, I used to put on an extra man thing because I used to also enjoy surprising my friends that I also like boys. I was very open early on. I've said this multiple times. So I used to try to be butch in that way, but also like, bro, let me suck your dick now. So I like that. So I'm having a very confusing time having this conversation because even I cooked, even I this, but I never saw it as a flair thing. I also wanted to be like, I made cold coffee today.
I would make cold coffee and then sprinkle it with like some like
shaved chocolate.
No.
Dairy milk.
No, not that. वो मतलब क्या? What's that? Dairy milk. There is this. There's this powder that you get.
Okay.
So I would sprinkle it and call it, I made mocha for you. Shit like that.
Amazing.
So it was always,
And having said that, I still feel like some parts of it have trickled into my adult life till date.
Oh, 100%.
Like a lot of times I have my straight friends who like, bro, why are you being so like
extra?
Oh, like that. I have a put on, I know when I'm doing it, and a lot of times my friends notice it.
Yeah.
Like I do have a put, especially like for some odd reason, interview calls. Like when I know someone's calling me for work, I do an extra, sure. I don't know whether it's like some sort of denial, whether that's just how I am or what, but it's something that from my childhood has trickled into my adulthood, where I have a put on male voice. But having said that, I feel like as a kid, I know I only put it on because I would just get some insane amount of joy from my guy friends who love me regardless till date, who always knew this guy might be a little gay. I love the surprises were endless. Like it's not like a one time now they are like, okay, he's gay, fuck this. I would repeatedly keep doing this whole routine where I'm a guy, fuck, I'm the best batsman. I used to be the pinch hitter, you know what I mean? Like I just swing the bat and sixth or fourth minute. I think that's what they're called, right? Yeah, 6 to 4 matlab chahiye to Farhad ko bhejo. I was that guy, like he'll swing the bat.
I don't know what a pinch hitter is. On that note, can we take a break?
Sure.
Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you are not following us on social media, why the hell aren't you? It's about time that you did. We're IVM Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We also got some really great news about Paisa Vaisa. Anupam Gupta, our host, we couldn't be prouder of him. His show has won the award for the best business podcast at the Asia Podcast Summit. Couldn't be happier, couldn't be prouder. Definitely check it out if you haven't heard it. It is an award-winning podcast now officially. I also would like to thank our sponsors this week, Storytel and Intel. Sponsors make this possible, so please support our sponsors, tweet at them, tell them that you're happy that they're sponsoring the podcasting space. We're excited to announce our new show, Storytellers and Story Sellers, hosted by Vineet Kanabar. Every episode, he talks to two guests, one from the creative side and one from the business side of the entertainment industry. This week, Vineet is joined by Executive Creative Director of TVF and storyteller Saurabh Khanna, and Chief Strategy Officer OML and story seller Tarun Tripathi. Together, they break down what goes into making a branded web series. Tune into new episodes every Thursday. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Utsav Memoria. Utsav is the host of our new show and one of my favorites on the network, Postcards from Nowhere. He and Cyrus have a really interesting conversation about Utsav's fandom of Cyrus. Also, they talk a lot about travel and Utsav's recent marriage. Two of our shows reached their 50th episode this week. On Pulyabazi, Pranay and Saurabh talk to Nidhi Gupta, who researches and teaches behavioral economics. They discuss insights from Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman's classic, Thinking Fast and Slow. And on the 50th episode of Paperback, Rachita and Satyajit talk to the best-selling author Ashwin Sankhi about his perspectives on mythology, history, and writing historical fiction. On the Filter Coffee podcast, Karthik is joined by CEO and Managing Director of Fireworks, Sunil Nair. Sunil shares his insights about Fireworks technology, his time at Alt Balaji, and differentiates advertising for an OTT platform versus television. On Advertising is Dead, Varun is joined by Tess Joseph, a renowned casting director. They talk about her journey in the film industry. On Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Janice and Anirudh discuss the pros and cons of the newly launched Apple TV Plus service and review some flagship shows on the platform. This week on Edges and Sledges, Ashwin, Varun and DJ talk about the first India versus Bangladesh test and IPL transfers. On GAYBCD, Sunetro and Farhad talk about how they face discrimination as kids for choosing to do things against gender norms. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav, who is on Cyrus this week if you have forgotten, talks about witnessing Kerala's famous martial art, Kelaripattu. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
Hi.
Hi, and we are back, and we're talking about super non-straight or queer.
Also, just
Hobbies.
as directly translated, gay shit we did as kids,
Kids.
not knowing that we were being very gay.
Pretty much. Yeah, so where did we stop? I mean, we were talking about your extra male voice.
Yeah, I think it was. I did a put on. I did a bit
Yeah.
of a put on as a kid. And I don't think it came from a place of compensating for what I did not want to disclose or anything.
Yeah.
It came from an element of surprising my friends constantly. That fuck, this guy's so I don't want to say manly. I wasn't a man, but I remember doing it extra hard just so that when I'm very vocal about being into boys, also they just keep feeling very confused.
You wanted to please men, which
I was
has
confusing.
continued.
It was like a little Sacha Baron Cohen type comedy in my own way, you know, that I'm constantly like pulling them and also but pushing them also. Like they would just find it very confusing.
All right. My next one's a little weird.
Sure.
So right from childhood, I've also been like this DC Marvel geek.
Okay.
But the characters I've always loved, adored, and identified and like been obsessed with the most have been strong female characters.
Okay.
Not damsels in distress, but like when I saw Mystique,
Okay.
that was like, I am going to be this character.
Sure.
Like if I had to play this character, I would be this character.
Yeah.
Elektra.
I'm sure your wardrobe is fully equipped to be Mystique, for sure. How many sequins?
Actually, more than that, Elektra. So I legit, I have
Elektra was which one? X-Men?
No. Elektra is Daredevil's
Hey,
bow.
that movie is...
Hey, I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about comics.
Okay.
So... The movie, I'm so obsessed with these female badass characters that I've ended up watching Elektra, that shit movie, a total of 17 times till date. Why? Because I just love this badass woman.
These are the kinds of things you say early on in friendships, Sunetro. Like, I've seen...
But thank God for like Furiosa today.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what. So I was so obsessed with it that I used to practice sai swords with like bamboo sticks. So I could, and sai swords mean sai swords. It's not a metaphor for anything else. But yeah, so this obsession with like, Wonder Woman and, these really strong female characters. First, it started out with like a couple of comics, and then it kind of, and then the whole era of superhero movies began with X-Men, and then I saw Mystique for the first time. I mean, she was toned down to some extent because, like, she was like butchering people in the comics, but here she was like a lethal assassin, and I was like, fuck, I'm in love with this woman. I want to be this woman. I think that was, again, if I look back, that's like, I want to be, I know I'm different. I love being different, but I want to be a strong kind of different, and I want to be in charge of my different sort of a space because all around me there was so much hate when it came to, you don't fit, like, or there's something off about you. So I think it was a reaction to that. So like this whole geek universe of like my ultimate wet dream is like a Justice League full of just women.
Bapre.
And like that scene in Avengers Endgame when all the women come together, I was like, that's worth the price of the ticket.
What scene is that?
Oh my God.
I know all of them come together, but all the women?
All the women. There's a scene right after,
okay.
like after Peter Parker gets like, smooshed and like all the women go like, now leave it to us. And I was like, that should have been the movie. That's me.
I'm hearing you talk and I'm happy with who I was as a kid because I'll tell you what, and let's say I'm 34, right? So I don't know how far are we dating. What's kids still, like what age stuck? Because I'll tell you what, where I'm going with this, I consumed everything and none of it meant anything to
that's
me.
What she said.
So for example, I watched all the X-Men and I did all the, like, I would watch everything, like the Superman and all the G.I. Joe, bring it on. You know what I mean? But I also watched the R's, Bridges on Madison County. Like, I felt like I was just very neutral in consuming things. And I never felt like...
Never.
I always,
never.
if there was some... no, like you said, right? Like you would always... These Marvel characters would make you feel like female leads were what did it for you. For me, everything was like what I liked. I would do it again and again and again. You know what I mean?
Like for me, I don't give a fuck about who wins Best Actor at the Oscars. I wait for Best Actress because it's usually one of those... No, because it's one of those categories. I remember the year the R's won Best Actress. That year was a year of female...
What year was it? Do you remember?
2002. And the Oscars happened in 2003. I remember that year was such a good year for women.
Okay.
And I mean, the R's. Like 3 of my favorite actors.
Movie. I love that movie.
Like 3 people I worship in one frame.
Yeah.
Not in one frame, but like in one movie. Yeah. And I was just like, that for me is another version of female empowerment. Like when I see something like that, I melt.
No, I'll tell you what. So this is so great that we are talking about the R's because I remember I saw the movie and I thought, oh my God, I have to tell my friends this, like about this movie. And I got the VCD back then and I played it. And that's the day I realized that I have some sensibility that my friends don't. Because ye kya chutiya picture laga hai, kitna slow, are ye kya ho raha hai, uska naak kaisa hai. You know, they were doing that kind of shit. But I was like, fuck, why is he not getting this amazing fucking movie? And honestly, movies are a great, like... a way to find out that I'm different from my friends, you know, like, they don't get this, you know. So in that sense, it did make me feel different like, but it wasn't ever like in some sort of feeling some sort of making me come to terms with the fact that about my sexuality or like my femininity or in any sense. Like,
no, but like taking on from that, the whole idea of, you know, movies almost making me feel a little different, that was very true for me too. I remember the year prior to ours was the year Lagan was nominated, and it became such a big thing. And I remember everyone in Ranchi, and that was my last year in Ranchi. Just saying, that was my last year in Ranchi. Everyone in Ranchi was like, ये तो partiality है, क्यों ये तो मतलब इंडिया है ना, इसलिए नहीं जीता, इंडिया को तो हमेशा वो हराएंगे. And I was like, and I had watched Amelie and I had watched No Man's Land because there was this channel called Z Movies that time, and now it's evolved into something else.
Z Cafe.
No, Z Cafe was the television
version.
Yeah.
Z Movies. Because they used to keep playing Amelie.
And Amelie and No Man's Land, I remember, I had watched just these 2 films. And I was blown away by by one, like the sheer
everything. The
like,
colors, the music,
the story, the music, everything. And then I remember like snapping my fingers and saying, you don't even know this. Like, you know, and I had watched a lot of those movies. I had watched Moulin Rouge and that year. So that again became such a pursuit of anything that's different. I loved looking at stuff that was that explored, and then it evolved into films that explored very unconventional relationships. For example, ours. Like, it was such an eye opener for me. I remember Far From Heaven, which was such an eye opener for me. I think we should do an episode on just that on by movies. Itself. But
these are pop culture movies, music. I get it, but like. Actually, music is such a big influence.
Oh my God,
we've not even touched there. But like, see, that's the thing. Again, I was Prodigy one cassette, but I also did Madonna next cassette. You know what I mean? So there's no way I would have known back then that, if I listen to Madonna, then maybe I have some sort of like, where's the penis to suck? You know, it wasn't like that. But I felt like when you're growing up, especially in India, I feel like it's what you do extracurricular wise determines how, like, how can you I honestly, you know, my mom had, what are those rings may you do threading? Embroidery? Is that what it? No, I thought it.
What's it called?
There's a word for it. Yeah, you tighten the screw and then it's like a really tight this. My mom used to do it for hours and I used to love watching it. And then she taught me the basic stitches, which I've forgotten now. But so many times I find myself on YouTube till date and I'm like, oh shit, I should pick this up. I would love doing it. It was such a therapeutic thing back then. Now, I am lucky that my mom did not go, you're a boy, you can't do this, you know. But I remember doing all of those things.
You know,
Like,
I used to cut my clothes. So, yeah, and I can imagine like my mom must have gone through a nightmare because I used to have these like night pajamas and all of that. And I would see these like, I would watch these movies and I would watch these very cute, like, sort of, different cuts for and I would cut them and like paint on them and like stick shit on them.
Yeah.
I would do that all the time. And I remember, what film was this? I don't remember. There was this film where Matt Damon. Oh yeah, Born.
Talented Mr. Ripley.
No.
Oh, Born Identity.
Born Identity, not Supremacy. Born Identity. There's a part of the film where he's wearing like a turtleneck and the like a woolen turtleneck and it's got like a V-ish sort of hem. I remember cutting all my turtlenecks into a V hem and it's wool. So everything starts unspooling. And my mom was furious and I remember her taking a candle and like, sealing all the ends. But I was like, I want to be this guy. I want to be like, like those. not really. I wanted to be fashion forward. And I didn't even know that's what I wanted to be. So, like I remember him. Yeah, I just wanted to be these characters. And
now that you say that, I also there was this time my mom, she's a hairstylist, and because they were okay with me cooking and like crocheting or whatever the fuck I want to do, I feel like my way to express that I might be different was asking her to color my hair constantly. I feel that was one way where I felt like I was pluming like a bird. Let's just put it. And my mom would do that also for me. So then I was like, fuck, abhi kya bolu? Like, hey, I might be different. But I remember I went from blonde and then Eternal Sunshine had come out. So my mom colored my hair orange for me because tangerine. And then I went electric blue. I have pictures of these. Y'all will never see it.
Oh my God.
But
I was about to ask you.
I had all these phases. And my mom did, but see, again, that was a great way to, again, shock the people around me. Because back then it wasn't such a thing. Yeah, burgundy.
Yeah.
Everyone used to go, if a guy used to
L'Oreal ka pack mein milta tha.
Burgundy. But I did the shocking orange suddenly and like electric blue and all. So I feel that was one way where I would like, I know that's not an extracurricular activity for sure. But I feel like these were my ways of like trying to put it out there that I am not what you expect me to be ever.
Have you ever done makeup?
No, I do one thing now. I put lipstick every day.
Really?
Yeah,
what color?
Just about. I don't know if you can see it. It's a very mild. It's gone.
Which brand do you use? Mouth it. Don't name it.
Oh.
Like.
Nika.
Oh, ew. Sorry.
No,
I shouldn't do that.
First of all, I did not buy it.
No, I am saying ew because I work with like one brand and I'm just like, I dissuade people from buying any other brand. So.
Wait, you work with Nika?
No, I work with some like competitive brand.
Okay, I was like, why is he dissing it?
No. Yeah.
No. But there's a reason also I put lipstick.
Like, it's like a lip balm. It's like, it's functional for you. It's not decorative for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's also another whole thing which I told you. It's a little technique because I've quit smoking.
Yeah.
So a constant reminder that I've quit smoking, I put a little lipstick on my lip every day. So whenever I'm passing by the mirror or someone's like, your lips are extra red, I remember why I quit smoking. It's a stupid thing, but it works for me. I've been doing it for the past couple of days and it works really well. I'm taking a piss, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I'm an ex-smoker. So I do that. But to answer your question, no, never makeup. I remember one of my first, I would say fuck buddies, because he was very straight, married now with 2 kids. But I remember he was a cross-dresser. We would hang out a lot, maybe suck each other's dick sometimes, masturbate around each other. But he would constantly be like, I love wearing my sister's clothes that includes leathers and his mom's clothes and all. And I used to find that, I don't mean this in any way, but I used to find that weird back then. Like, even when I was gay, in my head, I was like, don't be that gay, bro.
Coming to that, and I remember when I was 5 or 6 years old, I would use my mom's makeup and like, put on lipstick and all of that. I know something happened by the time I was 8 that I stopped myself consciously almost to say, this is weird as shit.
Sure.
Don't do this.
Sure.
today and it's taken me some time to kind of come to terms with embracing. One is femininity, embracing drag. And while I'm not comfortable doing drag, now I embrace it as an art. I think people who are doing drag, it's great.
Yeah.
But I know for sure I can't put my finger on what happened. But if that thing hadn't happened, I would have been like on RuPaul's Drag Race today. I would have won one season for sure.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if I can ever be ever get into drag, and I don't know why. But I embrace it as an art. I love the way people kind of express themselves, and that's another thing. I think even my brush with that says a lot about my insecurities as a kid, as well as what I would turn out to be later.
Yeah. I had this thing as a kid, and I'm saying this is around 8 to 12 maybe, where every month I would think of a movie stunt, which I would replicate. For example, and my friends used to love it when I used to do these stunts. So one of my favorite ones was I would cycle really fast, and my colony had like a lot of poles, like your tube light poles for like street lights basically. And while I'm speeding, I would like grab the pole and the cycle just goes ahead and I hold on to the pole. That's it. That was one stunt. There's another one where I would jump.
Get any ideas out of this, please.
Try this at home.
Do not try this at home.
Because I'll tell you what, once I broke my ankle doing this, and once I got electrocuted because the pole.
What?
Why I'm telling, this was just one I told you over those 3-4 years. I remember my friends used to cheer me on. They used to love watching me, and I used to go all out. I used to be like, I'll jump from this tree to that tree.
You were such a jock.
I was too charged up. I don't think I would call it a jock. I had this energy, and I did not know what to do with this energy, so I would just do things that would be a danger to myself. Wow, I was saying this because what I'm getting at is, talking to you, I would have totally forgotten this, but what I'm getting at is we kind of knew each other. Very briefly we met before we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And I find this podcast is a way of getting to know each other. And out of these little memories that I had forgotten come out, like this particular one that, I used to be that guy. I used to cycle at some crazy speed and like jump off and hold on to a pole. What the fuck was that? So I love that. I love that. And also, like, that was around the time where I was sucking 2-3 friends up.
Oh, yeah.
So what the fuck does any of this mean?
Yeah, I had like markers as like, almost paving the way to like, rainbow.
The only time I started feeling like, Farhad, you might be gay is actually when I started experimenting with boys. That was, what else? There's no other, like, a lot of times, even right now, this Shawn Mendes, the singer, I feel so sad for him, There's so much online, like, why is he dating a girl? Just come out and they're making fun of his girlfriend.
And like bottom shaming. It's like bottom shaming.
They make fun of him, they make fun of her.
Not even like gay shaming.
And I'm guilty. I laugh at some of the memes I see related to, like, oh, she's his beard and this and that. But I just feel like, what is this pressure on this person to like not find his way on his own, whether he's gay or not? I'm not even going to go there. Even though even I get it, right? Why everyone thinks he's gay. He's got a face that is gay.
Like,
he's got the modern Troye Sivan meets
very
ye to gay.
Clean cut, like.
But back then, none of this, there were no like, like for example, right? If our conversation is what, I remember only when I started having actual gay friends where I was open and my friends were also gay, like I started knowing couples and all. That's when my hands started relaxing a bit. Otherwise I was a very bullish, I remember my mom used to not take me in shops because I would topple stuff over, bull in China shop basically. So I was this very vagrant kind of like, I don't know what sort of sturdy kind of projection I was trying to put out there. But the moment I got some culture in my life, I got some gay boys in my life, my wrists started loosening up. I started talking more with my hands. My voice became more like the way y'all are hearing it right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like,
Yeah.
So I feel like I slowly, like, it's not a waxing appointment.
Yeah,
I slowly just like ambled into this little airy fairy, try and shoot me, I will dodge it kind of.
I think over time, in fact, it's been an opposite journey. Like I've butched up over time very naturally. Not, in fact, if anything, I try, because my mannerisms have butched up from the past. I love, which is my next thing, which is just playing with expectations with my clothes. And that's why I wear heels, and that's why I wear, like, different,
And you carry it
color.
off so well.
Thank you.
I really genuinely mean that.
That's like the best compliment ever.
The one time I tried heels, trust me, I felt a feeling that I never felt before. It was so good.
It is so
It
empowering.
is so empowering is the word I was going for. I
Right.
just suddenly felt like somewhere. I felt like my posture was suddenly better in a
I
second.
swear. So
I felt like I was standing straight, and there was this some kind of power I felt like when
You
I
watched Devil Wears Prada, right?
No.
Oh my god! So it's like the simplest movie ever, but like there's this term that they use called clackers. Clackers are people who wear heels
talk. Okay.
and, like, who announce that they're entering a room
By the sound they make?
by the sound they
walking?
make.
Okay.
And I wanted to, like, I felt like an empowered clacker.
Okay.
When I enter a room, like, people know before. So yeah, like for example, me wearing heels is like a way of balancing my relative butchness in terms of my mannerisms today. Similarly, I wear earrings which are like bigger than, and they've been growing in size over the years.
Hoops.
They used to be like tiny studs, and now
One day a dolphin will just jump through.
yeah. One day it's just going to be like this big dream catcher that goes on till like my knee. So yeah, those are things that I started playing with just in terms of camping up little parts of fashion, and because fashion became such an integral part of my interest, which has nothing to do with my job or my vocation, but it's just an interest again, which is so linked to. Actually, I don't know how it's linked, but like I feel like it has something intrinsic to do with my queer self. Like, the idea of just a little camp, and like I work in advertising, and if anyone who's seen all the stuff I've made, it's like I've put like Easter eggs throughout my career, like different ways, different touches, different inspirations from like the gayest, proudest music artists out there, the kind of costumes and the kind of inspiration points, like my like Grace Jones kind of costumes and stuff. So my jump off points are so fucking queer. Sorry for cursing, but like they are so queer that all of that has become such. I'm so happy that it's become an integral part of my life and my work now. Yeah.
Okay. I've raked up another memory which leads me to a question. I'll tell you the memory first. The first time I realized that maybe I am was when Rangila came out. Do you remember?
Hi Rama?
No, not
the song.
Not the movie. Urmila in general. I just remember seeing Urmila in the movie. And if you remember in a previous podcast, I told you the story about where I was in a boys' high school, and for an entire year, I was the only boy in shorts, whereas everybody else. And Rangila had come out around that time, and Urmila, what is this actress who wears such short clothes, and everyone was giving her grief, and I was wearing a short. So it was a culmination of these 2-3 things that really made me feel like
you felt like Urmila.
I won't say gay or any. I just felt, I have this great feminine energy, to put it in this. But I also remember that's the first time my mom was like, behave yourself. I gotta behave, because I remember back then there used to be these Philip's Top 10 countdown.
Yes,
I remember Rangila was on this, and when the song came on, I used to love that song. So I jumped up. I remember there was, and for some reason as a family, we, for a majority of the years, we ate dinner on the floor. I don't know, even though we have a dining table, we all love sitting on the floor and eating. And I remember I jumped up and I started dancing that exact step, which I still remember. And my mom just said, my mom just said, behave yourself. And I think that behave yourself came from a fact that why are you being so girly?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, okay, we did all these things that we did as a kid. Was there anything that your parents went like, hey, that's too gay?
Yes. Now I remember where my why the drag part stopped. So I remember. I have a feminine face. I mean, you wouldn't know because of my beard. I have a and especially when I was a kid, like you put a lipstick on me, I could pass off as a girl.
Okay.
So back in school, I was in a boys' school. And a lot of these, Teachers' Day concerts and stuff would happen. And wherever there would be a requirement for like a female dancer, a boy would like dress up in, in drag. So I remember this was like, I don't know, I guess I was 9 or something. And for Teachers' Day, there was a bhangra number. And I was a dancer. I was a trained dancer, and so I was always there for like any dance performances, and I was the lead dancer, but like the lead female dancer, so to say. So I remember me in like this plait and like the garb, like lipstick, everything. I'd gotten over with my performance, and we got like a rousing applause. And my mom was a teacher in my school, reminder, rousing applause and all of that. And we were the last performance because that was like the thing.
Got it.
And end on a high note and shit. So right after the performance, it's Teachers' Day. So I wanted to take like, give cards, and like I had like a stack of cards. I remember that I wouldn't have time to go change because we had to go to the classroom to change, and because this was in the auditorium. So I wanted to give out the cards the way I was dressed. And I mean, they've seen me on the stage, what's the big deal? So I went out, gave cards, and everyone was like, oh, so cute, blah, blah, blah. When I came home, I remember my mom was livid when she said, that was so bad, you were so badly behaved, dressed around and walking around like that. I think that crushed me.
Yeah.
That's when I said, like this seemed like it was natural to me.
Yeah.
And I don't
She
think I will.
disapproved of that.
Yeah, and like there was so much vitriol. Like it was so like hateful and acerbic that I kind of that part of me just died that day.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's where and it took me a long, like I used to get shivers after that when there's this song called, where Amitabh Bachchan is in drag, Mere Angne Mein. Whenever that would play as a video, that song would send shivers down my spine because in my head, that's wrong.
Sure. See, but that's the beauty of it, right? Today I know you a little.
Yeah.
And you found this beautiful middle ground where you're not a drag cross-dressing, but you are probably one of the best accessorizers.
Oh my
God.
No. Stop
really, there's a little safety pin in your ear. And like every time I see you, your dress is so ambiguous in your shirt.
Garb.
Garb. Garb,
Yeah.
that's the word. It's not short for anything.
No. Garb is just like what you wear.
Your garb in general is so like middle
Neither
ground.
here nor there,
It's amazing that you have that. I hate it. I'm actually very secretly jealous of how you've allowed that side of you because look, today I'm not wearing a black t-shirt.
but you're wearing a black jacket. But I love you for that.
Yeah, no, like I make very bare minimum effort when it comes to clothing. I just was never like, oh my god, I gotta again plume. I think the word is plume.
But so, I can't believe you wrung that out of me. I can't. This is like therapy.
Yeah, and I said it with that intention because I feel like in life, a lot of times when something gets beaten out of you, you just fall on the proverbial one door shuts, another opens. But in this case, you are stopped from doing something else and that particular thing finds a new kind of release.
Totally
and when
agree.
that new kind of release also sometimes can lead to a new kind of identity in your case. You know what I mean? Today, if you were allowed, let's say, if you were allowed back then, your mom was very accepting of like, oh yeah, sure, wear my fucking
I would have been
makeup.
wearing khakis. Nothing wrong with wearing khakis, but I would have been wearing khakis.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying even with like trying out her clothes, her makeup, everything, you would have been like a lot of gay guys I know. But you in just you have your own thing going.
Aw, that's so sweet.
It's always a nice thing like that. Yeah. It works out.
Always works out.
Yeah. So, this was such a great,
lovely talk
No,
today.
I feel like I know a good episode is when I feel like, but I did not say so many things, but
like,
I feel
now
like
think
we
it's-
said enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for a little drink after this. I know you don't drink, but
I will, Badshah chicken masala.
All right, then.
Yeah, so I guess that's a wrap for this episode.
Yes.
This was so much fun to talk about.
So much fun.
As usual, I somehow found myself relating to you entirely, but not having shared the same experience at all.
Exactly, while being
I love
completely
that.
different people.
I love that. So if you guys enjoyed listening, tell us all the gay shit. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Tell us all the stupid gay shit that you did as a kid, and don't tell us the stupid gay shit you do now, because we
That's
all
not
do it.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just go to your grinder if I wanted to know
Yeah.
that. But I guess that's it for me and Sunetro this week on GAYBCD. We'll see you next week. And if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. Please follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Just look up Farhad Karkaria. If I don't show up, my profile doesn't show up. Tough luck.
And follow me on Instagram. I'm glitterbugged. Bugged is BUGGED.
So that's it from GAYBCD. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
The modern world is obsessed with food and agriculture. Everywhere you look, new and exciting technologies are bringing food innovation to your street market, your grocery store, your doorstep, and your plate. From our quest for the perfect food photos to our rediscovery of ancient grains. Quite simply, food has never been sexier. But guess what? The modern food system is broken. It's a major cause of climate change, antibiotic resistance, and global poverty. So how did we get here? And where are we going? Most importantly, how are we going to feed 10 billion people globally by the year 2050 through better, more sustainable means? I'm Varun Deshpande.
And I'm Ramya Ramurthy. And we work for the Good Food Institute, a global non-profit accelerating the transformation to a more healthy, sustainable, and just food system. The next food revolution is here. On Feeding 10 Billion, we're giving you the inside view. You can tune into us every Tuesday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Hi, I'm Sarayu Natarajan,
And I'm Alok Prasanna Kumar.
and we are the hosts of the Ganatantra podcast.
On this podcast, we speak to academics, social scientists, journalists, and activists to find out what's actually going on in Indian politics.
On this podcast, we stay away from personality politics, intrigue, and gossip, and instead focus on the data, research, and analysis that drives all this.
So tune in to the Ganatantra podcast, where new episodes are out every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.